I'm currently sitting in University Parks and it's 9 a.m. and I woke up just feeling really stressed. First off of the day is just getting into nature, sitting on the grass, feeling the green. I'm also updating my to-do list. I know that feeling like I am now, I'm not going to get as much done as I would have planned to get done. The park really was a great idea for clearing my head, and after that I got some tea as opposed to coffee. While doing work I found this wonderful poem and also this beautiful painting of Boreas, which I just wanted to show you. I think the level of my stress and distraction is really reflected in how terrible I was at getting consistent clips today, but I studied all day and then I went to an exhibition, the Rubens exhibition at the Ashmolean. I attend this weekly seminar on the Bible and literature, and they were organising a guided tour with the museum curator, so of course I signed up for that and it was really good. I would highly recommend. I did a bit more work after that, and then in the evening I went to Magdalen College where my friend Holly was performing with a symphonic band, and this was such a great way to end the evening. I was so convinced that I'd left my camera in the coffee shop, and I did get slightly stressed, but as you can tell I found it because I'm filming. So I'm actually just going to quickly do some admin for public productivity quickly. This should only take me 15 minutes, but I've been procrastinating it so much because I've been so stressed with the dissertation. I just need to confirm, this is very exciting, but for the new planner we're actually going to have 4 colour options so that you can choose one that fits with your aesthetic, and so I was just confirming the colour codes that we were going for. I work with a designer, so I sketch up the designs for the pages and then he mocks them up. So I need to send over a plan for a common placing page that we're adding. Finally, I do the illustrations for the planner, so I need to send over some very tiny stars. It's very, very easy, very simple. Let's do that and then we're going to head to the library because I want to continue working on this dissertation. I'm very stressed with that. I'm feeling better this morning, I think, because I had a break last night. Going to that concert was really nice because it allowed me to really switch off. I actually love concerts and listening to classical music when I'm working on an essay because while I'm listening to it, I often find myself like running through ideas and running through thoughts, but because I'm not sat there like typing and writing, it's a very stress-free environment. I don't know, it works really well. I would like, if you're really getting in your own head about work, then I think you can sometimes find a new perspective if you go to a classical concert and kind of think about your work only on at the back of your mind. So I use, here we go, this is one of the illustrations that's going on the front, and just to make sure I get the placement right, I use this. take me an embarrassingly long length of time to find these books, but I eventually found all but one of the books I was looking for. I got The Diaries of Lady Anne Clifford, 3 Renaissance Tragedies. I was looking at the introduction for this, and then Growing Old in Early Modern England. I also printed a copy of my dissertation to read through and annotate because I love doing this on paper. I didn't get any clips of this, but I also then went for coffee and picked up my alumni card with my friend Becky, and my mum had also sent me the cutest homemade good luck card. And then after that I went to the Botanical Gardens, which are so beautiful in Oxford, and these are also free for students. So if you're a student here, you can get in for free. And I literally just sat on the grass and read through my essay and made small edits. And then in the evening, I was going to a formal. Okay, I'm off to a formal now. I'm going to Oriel with some lovely viewers who invited me. I've never met them before though, so I'm very nervous at the same time. It's also proper formal, like I don't have to wear my gown because I'm not at Oriel, but I'm gonna wear it because I never get a chance to. It's 20 to 10 and I really don't want to stay too late, so I'm just going to set a timer for, oh, it's out of charge. I'm just going to set a timer for 20 minutes to write some of my introduction. It doesn't want to work, I'm sorry. Okay, it's 10:20 and I'm just going to quickly, in my academic planner, write to do this for tomorrow. So I did just 40 minutes of work there. I feel like at this point of an essay, it never feels like you're actually doing anything, because so much of it is checking things, and there is things to do, but it's so granular that you can't see yourself making any real progress, which I think is just quite frustrating. It's not very motivating. I'm gonna have a shower, I'm gonna get an early night, and then I can get started working on this again in the morning. Okay, I accidentally spent a lot longer on that than I planned to, but I did finish that, so I've got just 2 days until my dissertation is due, and so I thought I would vlog the final weekend of working on my dissertation. I've just got little things left to do, but it's always really stressful because they're like such tiny things that you don't see any progress. I am quite looking forward to having it in now, and I have been very stressed, I'm not gonna lie, but anyway, let's go and get some coffee. Now, I have loved the whole of my master's degree, but these last few weeks have been draining and stressful, so much so that I've doubted whether I want to stay in academia, which is quite a big statement because I love research and learning and extended projects. I love them so much, but the pressure of essays and exams is intense. So much of your final mark depends on one assignment a lot of the time. At A-levels, everything comes down to just a few exams, and with GCSEs and A-levels especially, we're taught that that is the way that we can qualify how much somebody has learned about something, which categorically I just don't think can be true. Something like a dissertation is so much more accurate in showing your ability and showing how you're able to think and approach a project over a prolonged period of time, but that doesn't release the pressure that is put on one single assignment. We always say grades don't define you, but it's hard to avoid that when it's something you put so much time and effort into, when it's something you care about so deeply. We know it logically and often know it once a submission is in, but in the moment that we're working on it, in the time that we're stuck in that essay, it can feel like that is the only important thing. It's easy to become blinkered, hyper-focused, not to see the things happening around us, because that becomes our purpose, the most important thing.
And finding purpose is a beautiful thing. Sartre says that this becomes our own meaning of life, and the purpose of a project or an essay is wonderful in its own way. But at the same time, when this does become our purpose, our identity can become enmeshed with the outcome of an assignment. What is the answer? There isn't one, but I think there's some use, some help in an awareness of that finitude, perhaps. An awareness, a reminder to yourself that the creation of this purpose is a gift, but also something that ultimately you have created.
I'm actually going for coffee with someone now, and I'm so excited. I will tell you about it both today. I just got back and it was so lovely to meet Dominic. So Dominic Jarrod is an actor who worked with the Charles Dickens Museum. So he did this exceptional performance of A Christmas Carol, and I saw it when I was 15, and I walked out and I said, that is the best thing I've ever seen. I loved it, loved it so much. I can't tell you how much I loved it. I was raving to my mum about it for months, years even. And then we connected over Instagram a couple of years ago. I was on a panel with him at the Charles Dickens Museum back in 2021, which he organised. And then he was in Oxford today, so he was like, do you want to get coffee? And of course I said yes. It feels really bizarre because my 15-year-old self wouldn't have believed that. So I'm actually going to a ball at 6. My friend and I decided that we would go as like a detox from dissertation work. But I'm really stressed, and part of me is like, I really shouldn't have decided to go. I think it was quite a silly decision. But still, I bought my ticket. I'm still going to go. But I'm going to try and get my primary sources referenced fully before I do leave. I have managed to get through a lot of my to-do list today, but I just don't feel very confident about the essay. I feel like you never do though, so that's some consolation, I suppose. I know I always feel like this for an essay, but I can't know if I'm going to do badly, and I think that's the really scary thing about when you submit an essay, because you can put so much work into it, and you can care about what you're arguing, and you can think that it's an okay argument, and then it can end up but then it can be received in a way that you didn't expect. I don't know. I always find it stressful. I'm trying to stay positive because I fell into a really negative headspace last week, where I became really negative and really panicked about the dissertation and thought that it was really bad. And that's not helpful because you can't work well when you're writing like that. And my supervisor even said, she read one of my drafts. She read a draft and she was like, "It sounds anxious. Your voice sounds unconfident." Less confident than it did in earlier drafts, which is so funny as well because I didn't expect for that to kind of actually come through in the writing itself. So I'm trying my absolute hardest to keep very positive about it and make sure that I'm confident about what I'm saying when I say it, but you can kind of hear I'm stressed. I don't have that long, so I'm going to get the primary references done because I want to at least have got that done today before I head out. Just finished doing my primary referencing. I'm feeling okay about it now that I finished my referencing. There are 2 things I need to check in the library tomorrow. One of them is because of the British Library outage, there are some things you can only access on computers in the library. So I need to go into the library to check this one essay. I just found it and I think it mentions what I'm talking about, so I want to read it before I obviously submit. It's always so nerve-wracking though when you find a new paper because you're really worried it's going to say what you're saying, and that's your worst nightmare. So I'm actually kind of scared to read it in case there's any repetition. Honestly, I wonder what would happen if you found an essay that was identical to yours, the day before you submitted a dissertation. What would you do? Would you just put a footnote saying I just found this article which says everything that I've said, and then like hope for the best. I don't know, what would you actually do? I feel like that's the only thing you could do. Like, oh my gosh, don't even think about that. Don't even entertain that as a possibility. Anyway, I'm actually going to get ready now for the Enchanted Garden ball. I'm going over to St. Peter's with my friend, and we're going to do like pre-drinks, even though I'm not going to drink. Alright, I'm ready. And this is what I'm wearing. I know that I'm going to a party, but I've brought my commonplace book, and I think I might bring a folded version of my dissertation, just in case I want to read it. Yeah, I feel like that's a good idea. Because I don't have to read it. It's just then it's there if I want to. I'm also just going to wear Doc Martens because...
I didn't finish that sentence, but because Doc Martens are very comfortable.
I almost forgot my coat and then realised it was like partially outside and it's actually really cold. So, my friend is already there and I'm excited. It is also really weird though to be like stepping away from my desk, and I feel comforted by the fact that in my bag I've got a printout of my dissertation.
I'm so curious now if you're the same. If you're going somewhere, will you bring something academic to do as a kind of strange sort of safety blanket? Anyway, as I say, we went to this garden party enchanted ball by Jesus College, and it was far enough away that we had to get a taxi down to the river, and then we walked along the river for quite a while looking for it. It took a while, but we did find many amazing bridges, and we took a lot of photographs as well as we were walking. Genuinely, it was such a lovely evening, and I'm so glad that I went. I had such a wonderful time and do not regret going in the slightest, especially because I was there with one of my closest friends.
Hi everyone, we're in Iphigenia farmhouse with the host trees.
Good morning, Britain. Welcome to the Jesus Magical Ball.
It's going to be so empty today because all of the undergraduates have gone back by the yesterday or today. Would be a good idea, but I wasn't sure enough. To be fair, I do actually like walking with the radio, so I'm just going to go to the library and I need to read this essay on one of the computers.
So I picked up the books that I had requested, and then I logged into the computer with the hopes of finding that essay. However, it was not available on the computer because the British Library outage, which was such a disappointment. But rather than get hung up on that then, I checked my other book. I basically just needed to check a detail of the Mariam tapestry, which was by Mary Queen of Scots, and it was in this book. So I looked at that, and then while I was in the Old Bodleian, I did some work. I can't remember what I was doing here. Since honestly, I can't remember exactly what I was working on, I thought I would tell you a little bit, very, very broadly, about Mary Queen of Scots and her interest in embroidery, because she was a prolific embroiderer and she did some excellent tapestries, including the Mariam tapestry, which is the most famous one. So she did a lot of her embroidery whilst she was in prison, when her sister, Queen Elizabeth I, imprisoned her. And Nicholas White says of her, "I asked her Grace, since the weather did cut off all exercises abroad, how she passed the time within. She said that all the day she wrought with her needle, and that the diversity of the colours made the work seem less tedious, and continued so long at it till very pain did make her give order," which just gives an insight into how much she depended on embroidery. Not all of this remains, but quite a lot of it does, and you can see some of this in the V&A. I will link an article down below which is particularly interesting. to the library and they didn't have the book. I thought that I could access it through the PC on the Bodleian Library computer, but I couldn't. So I'm gonna have a big hunt and see if I can find any way to read this article. Oh, I'm just so frustrated. Which will come tomorrow. Desperate needs. But it wouldn't arrive to Oxford tomorrow. It could only arrive to home tomorrow.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, Ruth.
Are you free to talk for just a sec?
You're on.
Long story short, I managed to read that essay. I ordered it to home and then my dad sent me pictures of the pages that I needed. Thankfully, there was no crossover, but it was a very good article, so I'm so glad that I read it, and there were one or two things that I was able to then cite and reference in my essay. Right, I've just finished editing chapter 2 and it's, I want to say it's 3:15, which meant that I spent 15 minutes just now doing nothing because I finished at 3. I'm now going to go get a coffee because I would like some caffeine, and then there's a part of my introduction I'm going to rework because it feels quite repetitive, so I'm just going to move it around a little bit, and then there's one essay which my supervisor recommended me yesterday or 2 days ago, and I'm going to quickly read through that to see if there's anything in there which I might need to reference or like make a note of in my dissertation. But I'm actually finally starting to feel okay with it. Like there are still some things that I need to clean up, but at the moment it's just about cleaning things up as opposed to me not being happy with the actual argument and the actual idea, which is what it's been like the whole way through. So it's such a relief to actually finally have some sort of clarity with it and feel kind of okay. I know that that would change though, because I feel like your mood with an essay moves so much from hour to hour. Like you'll really like it and then you'll reread it in a bad headspace and suddenly really hate it. So I'm aware that that's going to happen, but I'm glad that at the moment I'm feeling okay. I read this back in week 1 of Michaelmas. My tutor gave it to me on a recommendation and I loved it. It was excellent. And I cite it in my dissertation, but I didn't write down page numbers. I hope I can find it. I'm sure I would have highlighted it. Okay, the actual essay is done. There are no gaps left and I could submit it right now if I wanted to. Obviously I'm not going to because I've got another full day, so why would I? I want to double check all of my referencing, do another proofread, and what else do I want to do? I've got a mini list. I always keep, well, I'll show you. So I've got this little list of some things I want to check. So surnames, I know what I mean, but that actually doesn't make much sense. So I just want to make sure that I've put the first names of scholars the first time I mentioned them. Then I want to check my primary referencing, check my spelling consistency of names. I want to go back to an earlier draft where I had footnotes and make sure that I didn't accidentally delete any footnotes I wanted to include. And there's one citation I'm particularly unsure about, so I'm going to do that too. But first I'm going to go get dinner because I'm actually really hungry. Already I'm not feeling as confident though as I was earlier. Like I reread my first chapter and I actually didn't like it as much. So, but I have to tell myself that I swing so much and it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's that sad knowledge that you have as a student that you're never going to get it perfect and you're never going to get it exactly where you want it to be, but you can get it as good as you possibly can in the time. Like there's always the possibility that it could be better and you always know that when you submit it. And there's some comfort in telling yourself that, even though it's frustrating. Like you did as much as you could in the time available and with the resources that you had, etc. Anyway, let's go get dinner. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a little bit all over the place. This final clip is me at 2 in the morning when I woke up and wanted to check something in the original manuscript. There isn't a critical edition of the work that I am studying, and so I printed it off and added a transcription so I could easily study from it, which is what I'm using here. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have more than just a productive week.